went to the bathroom twice and she didn't close the door, and it was in full spectrum for everybody. It's quite embarrassing, I think, for her afterwards. Yeah.
No, I fully understand. I think, yeah, everybody who's attending, hi guys. Thank you for attending and joining us today. So I think everybody's mic is off. Can you guys let us know where you guys are watching from? We're just going to be going live on YouTube now also. And so we can have people joining us there on YouTube too. So where you guys watching from? As we're waiting for more people to come in, tell us where you guys are watching from. And yes, you're in the right webinar. We're going to be discussing how the lockdown is affecting, the Dean's office, Master's office, and your transfer duties and race clearances with Meyer de Waal today. We're just going to be beginning in a few. Actually, more people are coming in now. I just wanted to also go live on YouTube, so the YouTube family can join us too. And we will be starting now. Where you guys watching from? Let us know where you guys watching from. Let us know where you guys watching from. Let us know where you guys watching from. Where you guys watching from?
I see a lot of people are sending you the comments there on the chat on the bottom. So they sent you a couple of comments already on the chat screen.
Yes.
And in Johannesburg, yeah.
100%. Now, good to have you guys, Kanya, and also Sonia from Johannesburg. Now, thanks, guys. Thanks for having you guys, for you guys joining us today. Meyer, is your video okay?
Let me have a look at the video again.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, nah, 100%. So guys, we're just gonna be beginning in 2 minutes. I'm just waiting for more people to coming in. I see more people are coming in also on YouTube. So give us 2 more minutes and then we are beginning. And just getting everybody on the same page so we are good to go.
Well, Israel, while we're waiting for everybody to log in, what is your feeling? I've been asked this question a couple of times. Would one invest in South Africa in property? Now, the interesting thing is that we developed online software for people to check if they can qualify for a home loan. Because anytime when you go for a home loan, you've got 3 elements. Now, the biggest 2 elements, number 1 is your credit score. If you've got a bad credit score, a bank will not give you a home loan. And yesterday, I'm also negotiating with my landlord, with my car repayments, and say, can you please get a 3-month payment holiday? And again, this comes back to the thing to say that if you are in arrears with your payments, they're not going to accommodate you. So it's so critical to be up to date with your payments before you go in these types of negotiations. But
100%.
we developed online software for a leading bond originating company. We're also using it ourselves. And in the month of January, we had the highest number ever of applicants using this online tool, 6,800 people.
Wow.
So one would expect in April, that was in January, one would expect in April that the interest for a home loan would drop because people are uncertain about their salaries. Will their company still survive?
Yes.
And I got the stats from this bond origination company on the 2nd of May. So for April, now compare 6,800. In April, it was 4,900 people that went online and did an automated check. So it shows that it's dropped down, but there's still a huge number of people that actually are looking for property. So this is still a buyer's market. Interest rates are the lowest it's been. People are going to be desperate coming out of COVID to sell the units because they've been there. Maybe the tenants can't pay when they have rental stock. And so it's going to be a buyer's market, but you have to have your ducks in a row.
100%. So I think that the most important thing also is to, take care of your credit score and your affordability and also improve it at this time. And don't be too careless about it. So I'm also part of those people who are making arrangements with my landlords, making arrangements with my tenants. I'm making arrangements with wherever I can in terms of payments, and also trying to figure out how to, put myself in a position where I can be ready for the market that is coming out. But what I'm picking up, though, is that with regards to institutions like government institutions, a lot of people have stopped submitting projects there because they're not sure what's going on. So there's a big opportunity there for also people who are willing to take action. and take the risk to develop a few projects. And then with regards to also the market, though, in terms of what is going to be on the market and pricing of houses, we're seeing that there's going to be a lot of well-priced properties coming on market. And also on our side, in terms of our consulting business, we're still getting a lot of buyers, and we're closing deals. I think this week we closed, I think one, and then last week we closed around 4.5 million rand worth of deals. And there's still investors coming in the market, taking advantage of the lowest interest rates of all time. And also most of them are actually terrified because they're not sure about if they're going to still be having their jobs after this. So there's still also that element also, because now you're working from home, there's kids, there's all that stuff. You don't have a dedicated environment where you can be able to work. So it's a little bit of an adjusting in terms of how is it going to be able to work. And your boss also is not sure if you're going to be productive from home, because this is the first time they're trying this out. So they're putting in a little bit of pressure on you. And then what I'm finding out from a lot of people that I'm in conversation with is that there's also people who are actually working from home makes people work more hours, because you're at home, and then as soon as you leave your laptop, you find it at 7, then now you have to attend your kids, your family, and all that stuff. So it is a little bit of an adjustment that we're all facing. So, but at the same time, I think there's also the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's something that I also wanted to hear your view, because I'm always sharing my views on my blog posts and all the stuff. So most of the guys who are here and part of my mailing list, they're getting all these views. So today's about you sharing your views, and I want us to get into that and try to get as much as information and learn from you as we can while we have this time today. So I think before we start, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping here to say that this video is going to be out. And also, but we're going to remove all the videos and put them on our Facebook groups. So all the videos that we're doing right now for live trainings are going to be on our Facebook group. So if you want the lifetime access, I'd advise you guys to go to join our Facebook group. I think you get the link on the video, on the YouTube video below. And then the other thing is there's a giveaway that we're giving out, an A to Z home ownership guide. That's going to be sent to you guys on email after this live stream. So you guys must be expecting to find that later. And then if you have any questions that we can't answer here, pop me a question on anywhere on social media. And, and then if the more questions we have, and then I'll be able to put them together, and then we'll get them to Meyer, and then we can be able to answer that, or maybe have a follow-up session if there's some other things that you guys are not very, very clear on. So I think that's just a few housekeeping there. So today with me, I'm with Meyer de Waal. And Meyer de Waal is a practicing attorney and a director of MDW Inc. and was admitted in 1988 as an attorney, conveyancer, and notary in Cape Town. Meyer used his legal and conveyancing background and gathered some inspiration to start Rent to Buy, my budget fitness, consumer housing education, and my bond fitness from his companies participating in raising funds and subsequently constructing houses in Fulani Township project, and he's led to a groundbreaking home ownership programs for the employees of African Bank, and also home ownership education program for tenant base of more than 13,000 just property tenants. The challenges that these potential homeowners had to overcome in order to acquire homes, together with establishing a track record and maintaining such planted the seed for Meyer to find a creative solution. So other achievements that I'm going to be mentioning now is like Meyer is also part of the member of Cape Town Law Society, Wills Trust and Estate Committee, spokesperson of Law Society on National Wills Week 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, property lecture at Cape Technical and Institute of Estate Agents, contributor of 2008 Road Report, and then presented seminars to the Uppington and Cape Town Law Society on Trust, guest expert on Real Estate Investor Magazine, South Africa's Housing Annual Conference, presenting Rent to Buy, my bond fitness, co-writer, Guide to Property and Development Finance, Collins and Reward, specialist in sectional title attorney, and has attended the registration of more than 220 sectional title schemes. Guest speaker 2015 and 2016 Road and Dream Conference. Guest speaker in 2016 Western Cape Property Developers Forum in Flips. MDW Inc. is on board on bond registration panels on Absa and Standard Bank, and something we have to talk about. And we regularly achieve recognition by Absa on the list of best mortgages and performance attorneys in place of the Western Cape. So other entities that I think you guys will be interested in, and all this information you guys will get it online, is to check out is Rent to Buy. Meyer de Waal is the founder of Rent to Buy. You guys can get it at www.rent2buy. Okay, www.irenttobuy.co.za. And then he's founder of My Bond Fitness. I'll put all the links below. And then there's support to CM2 for service level agreement signed with Third Bank and Affordable Home Loans. Developed the home ownership educational courses for African banks and for Just Property. And founder and developer of Mobile to Budget, and founder of Consumer Education, founder of Flips Assist, government housing subsidies, founder of My Bond Fitness, a unique process to provide a home loan pre-qualification estimated from home buyer, and co-founding member of Attorney Realtor Hub. Meyer de Waal, thank you for joining me today.
Ezra, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
100%, 100%. So I would say that your bio just says how much you're a pioneer in the real estate industry. And one thing I admire about you is that you always, every time I meet you, you're always up to the next thing and working on something very interesting. So it's just very inspiring to watch you from afar. And it's also inspiring to always chat to you all the time. So thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks.
So when people ask you, what do? What do you say that you do?
I'm a property attorney, and I've been that for the last 33 years. And in 2007, I saw the downturn in the market when we had the National Credit Act coming in. And then I developed the concept of rent to buy. It developed then into consumer education for educating a person to buy a house. Because 50% of home buyers are first-time buyers. So then we realized that people need to get assistance because a lot of buyers are declined. Sometimes 55, sometimes 50% of home loans are declined. So we also started a budget fitness program to get people. And one of my colleagues say that your home ownership journey didn't stop. It only has got a flat tire. And I like the flat tire concept because it explains to a person a flat tire can be fixed. We all had a flat tire around our lives. Sometimes the tire is written off almost, but most of the time you can patch the tire and you can then get onto your home ownership journey, maybe in 6 months, maybe in 9 months, maybe 2 years later, sometimes 3 months. So what we've put together is a complete circle of services. And with the legal background that I have, I think we are able to provide that extra comfort. And then 2.5 years ago, a fund manager came to me and asked me what we're doing. And I explained to him education for home buyers, debt repair, fixing the flat tire. And they said that they've got money for us now in the price range 400,000 Rand to 1.8. So it enabled me to take the rent to buy concept to another level. Because all of a sudden we are acting like a mini bank. And we can pre-qualify a buyer that is almost ready to buy in the price range 400,000 to 1.8. The fund then buys the property for the buyer, and in that two-year period, he's got the opportunity to improve his credit score, save a little bit more money, and then at the end of the 2 years, we take him to the bank for a home loan. The nice part of this is that we actually freeze that purchase price in 2020, and you pay the same price in 2022. There's a small option fee that gets added on top. So we lay out everything on the legal document to you, but you know exactly what you are in for. We give you a personal trainer like a coach that helps to keep you fit. Because again, people may run into difficult circumstances, need to go and borrow money and all that stuff. And we try to guide them with a personal trainer that's included in your rental. So you don't have to pay extra gym fees to help you to get fit. And one of the other fantastic products that I was very cheeky and I registered the domain flisp.co.za. Now, FLISP stands for Finance Linked Individual Subsidy Program. And that is the government subsidy for first-time buyers. So initially, the government was upset with me. They said, you've hijacked our name. I said, but I did it because you are not promoting FLISP. Today, we are the biggest private company that help people with FLISP applications. And this FLISP subsidy is amazing because it helps people that earn up to 22,000 Rand. The FLISP subsidies were improved 18 months ago. Up to then, a 15,000 Rand income would only give you a 20,000 Rand subsidy. That subsidy now has gone up from 20,000 to 63,000 Rand. So all of a sudden, if you're a first-time buyer, you can have a deposit to put down and you can negotiate a better interest rate. So that's very much our circle of products. and we've got online tools and rent to buy. So it's really amazing bouquet of services, and it's exciting to deal with that. This morning I was up at 5 o'clock because I had to do a presentation to somebody and say, look at the ways that we can work together. And you've got a certain group of customers, and we can roll out for them a home ownership journey incorporating all this. So that's for me is exciting. I can't wait in the morning to wake up, because then we can start engaging with people, and Ezra, like yourself, that adds a lot of benefit to home buyers and teaching them how to become a homeowner and investor. So that's me in a nutshell.
So just to ask though, so if somebody wants to take advantage of rent to buy or flips, and then what is the requirement, and what happens if somebody doesn't have money, and then what happens if in a case of a bad credit record? So let's say somebody has a bad credit record, but they have the affordability, because most of the cases that we get on rejection of the banks is either affordability or credit record. And I think, as you mentioned before, so so if somebody has the affordability but they have a bad credit record, or if somebody has no, they don't have the affordability right, but they might have the credit record, how would it work for somebody like that?
Yeah, we get that a lot. I'm sitting with 12,000 people on my rent to buy database that came to us and said, Meyer, I'm looking for alternative finance. And my first question is, why don't you go to a bank? And then they come and say, no, I've got enough money. I said, but why did you go to the bank? And then they say, because of my credit score. And we tell them that we are buying the property in rent to buy at full market price. So we need to know that you can pay back the rent every month. And if you have a bad credit score, it means somewhere down the line, something went wrong. Quite a lot of people were retrenched. The lady went on maternity leave and they didn't pay out the benefits and all that stuff. People stopped paying accounts. We had one case where an accountant earns 43,000 Rand a month, but she was just lazy in paying her accounts up to date. And because of that, she picked up a bad credit score. So quite often, it's behavioral problems that put you away, keep you away from owning the house. So we have developed a budget fitness program with the best big companies behind us. One that's supported by a company called Octogen, and they are affiliated to Old Mutual. So they're like a credible company that will actually listen to you, work out for you the way to go forward, because we often say that you are in this predicament with a bad credit score because of do-it-yourself DIY home finances. Like working from home, you messed up your finances, because none of us in South Africa get financial budget training. We get trained on school and all that stuff. Maybe some of us are lucky to go to college, university, but we don't receive financial education. And this company is there, and our My Budget Fitness service, to help people to analyze, face a reality, and then say, I've got a 3-month or a 9-month or a 2-year plan to get out of debt. So again, for rent to buy, we need to work with people that are almost ready to buy, but where the bank says, no, you're too far away from the home loan. So first check will always be credit check, and then we look at your affordability. For FLISP, the first 2 words of FLISP is FL. FL stands for Finance Linked. So you must first have a home loan approved. And this is again where your credit score can also sync your aspiration or your dream to own your house. So if you have a low credit score, if you have a bad credit score, if you have a thin credit score, which means you've got no accounts, most likely the bank will decline your home loan. Again, we start with a credit check. So if you're interested, we can host a session focusing on credit scores, because that is your first door to home ownership. And if that door is closed, you can't have a key to open that door, you can't take that next step. You've got to either be a cash buyer, or you're going to end up staying in the same rental apartment and make your landlord rich by paying rent every month. So once your credit score is checked, we then help you to check what subsidy you can qualify for. We've got an online calculator on our FLISP website. You can Google flisp.co.za, you can Google FLISP calculator, and you'll get that calculates easily for you. And it's calculated on the gross total household income of both parties. Even if the people are married out of community property and you apply on your own name, you have to look at the gross total household income of the husband and wife, or 2 partners. So the next step is to ask, are you a South African citizen? And do you have dependents? So a single person with no children, unfortunately, with no dependents, cannot qualify. So you must be South African citizen, earn up to 22,000 Rand, between 3,500 and 1. Your bond must be approved, and you must be a South African citizen, and you must have dependents. And then you can apply for FLISP. Now, interesting enough, in Gauteng, you cannot apply after you have taken transfer. This is crazy, but I spoke to them and I said many times, why are you so strict in FLISP? In the Western Cape, you can apply for FLISP afterwards, up to 12 months. If you only realize now about FLISP and you're listening to Ezra's session, you say, I just took transfer of a property, I bought a property, I became an owner last year, let me apply in the Western Cape after the fact. We call it a retrospective application. So you can still apply in Gauteng and in Western Cape, but not in Gauteng, and you can also apply in KZN for a retrospective FLISP application, subsidy payout. And that subsidy is paid into your bond. And I've done calculations how you can save thousands of rands if you pay your subsidy back into your bond and you keep on paying your old home loan installment. I will actually send you a breakdown that I've worked out. It's crazy how much money you can save over 20 years. If you keep on paying your normal bond repayment, and your subsidy helps, you save like 4 or 5 years of your home loan.
Yes,
I'll send you a calculation. You'll fall over.
Yes, so that's a big saving. That's a big saving. I'm sure everybody would be keen to learn more about that. And I think when you send it to me, I'll also be sure that everybody who's attended today, they'd be able to get that on their email. And then we
can even have a separate FLISP session and show you. Before we step on this, I did a calculation for a buyer the other day. He took up a 800,000 Rand bond. They never told him about FLISP. Then I said, let's go and apply for FLISP. We got him 53,000 Rand FLISP subsidy. His bond was stretched over 30 years, which I would never advise to do that, because you pay your bond off over 30 years rather 20 years. But when we pumped the FLISP subsidy back into his bond and he kept on his old repayments, which he could afford, we brought that bond down, but he saved almost 50% of his bond repayments. Because remember, you pay your bond and you pay that bond double back in interest over 20 or 30 years. I'll send you that calculation, and that just changed. He was so happy because he realized he was trapped in a repayment structure, and FLISP helped him to save almost 400,000 Rand on an 800,000 Rand bond. It's crazy. I'll send you that information.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible stuff there. So one thing I also wanted to also touch on is, we are currently embarking on level 4 lockdown. And I wanted your view on the pandemic. What is the good, the bad, the ugly that we're getting out of this? Before we actually go into the main topic of today, what are you seeing from this pandemic that it might be good? What are you seeing that might be bad? And what you see might be ugly about what is going on right now?
Well, there's the first part of lockdown. That's my personal view. Everybody in South Africa agreed to stay at home. And now there are so many conflicting actions by government officials, almost contradicting the president, that people are starting to get, what am I doing here? Am I doing the right thing? And must I follow this? But coming back to the bad is, obviously, it will play havoc in the economy of South Africa. It will cripple the economy. The Deeds office, for example, we're going to touch on that now. The Deeds office is currently closed. We hope that they have gone back to work. And that they are getting their offices dusted and cleaned out and all that stuff. But no communication has gone out to us conveyancers in the Western Cape to say, we are back in office, we are just cleaning up the stuff because it's been under lockdown for so many days and weeks. But don't worry, we're going to be open a day or 2 or 3. So estate agents can't generate income. Bond originators can't generate income. Attorneys can't generate income. My fee that I was able to generate in the month of April was a 16,000 Rand fee. Now that's a small drop in the bucket of expenses I have to carry to pay my staff, pay the rent and all that stuff. So, and that is estate agents, they can't even go to work. I have got a certificate from the Law Society to say I perform a critical service. And on that basis, I'm able to go to the office and meet customers, but obviously we try to avoid personal meetings and all that stuff. But at least I'm able to go back. But my revenue stream, my tap is closed off completely. And it appears that nobody considered the impact and the benefits to the economy that a property transaction generates. It's the seller that gets money to do something, pay off debt. It's a buyer that can move into property. We also have problems with tenants. We are renting out quite a lot of number of properties, my own properties and other for clients, and they can't move. So they locked in the situation where they say, I can't move, I've paid my deposit. That unit maybe is still a tenant or the tenant moved out. So now the landlord in that situation says, where's my rent? I said, but I haven't moved into your apartment. I'm locked in the other apartment. I've got another tenant, a rental unit that I rent out, and the tenant moved out everything apart from the stuff in the garage. Now they want me to refund the deposit. And I say to them, but if I refund the deposit and the stuff is still in the garage, I can't use the entire flat. And now they're upset with that, but they realize that I'm also in a predicament. So it has caused such a havoc in the industry. And the big problem is that the rates clearances that the municipalities issued are only valid for a certain period of time. And while the deeds are now in the deeds office and the deeds are at my office ready for lodgement, these rates clearance certificates lapse. And the crazy thing about the municipality is that when you get your rates figure to pay, you pay that into the municipal account and you wait 3 to 4 weeks to get that certificate out of him. It's not like you go and pay and they give you a receipt and you can go to the deeds office with a receipt. The weird thing is that why can't they issue you with a certificate right on the spot? And you can go to the deeds office. Now, all of our transactions that are pending will have to reapply for rates clearance certificates. The municipalities are receiving rates clearance certificates but not processing it, because I think kind of clever from them, they say, we don't know how long this lockdown will be. And by the time that we issue you with a certificate, maybe the certificate would have expired again. And you've got to, I've got to do the work all over double again. So it's really caused a major disruption. I don't see any, obviously the benefit are saving lives and keeping the curve flat. But if you look at the business that it's killing, and they reckon more people will die, more businesses will die than people will die because of the severe impact on the industry.
No, I fully understand, and I think one of the main things that we wanted to touch on also is how is the effects on the lockdown affecting deeds office, masters, rates, clearance, and transfer duties are basically the whole process of processing a property transaction. So that is something also we wanted to touch on. But so far, we know that just a month ago, people were praising President Cyril Ramaphosa for taking a swift action to stop spreading the coronavirus. And then another thing, though, is that we just had over 1,000 cases at the time. So right now we have around 7,138 deaths. But in comparison to United States, they have around 1.2 million confirmed cases and 70,000 deaths. So I think in terms of flattening the curve, I think he's doing a great job on that. However, everybody's pushing for things to go back to normal, because the new normal now is wearing a mask, staying 6 feet apart. But I mean, everybody wants the economy to open. We're already seeing tobacco companies, obviously filing for lawsuits. And we're seeing a lot of other petitions that are coming out for people who really want to go to work. And I also signed a petition last week from about real estate agents being able to start operating under level 4. So I was actually worried because I thought that we were gonna, at first we were supposed to be, the deeds office was supposed to open at the level 3, right?
Cool.
And then I think there were like Law Society and other people who did the petitioning, so we can get stuff opening right now. So I'm just thinking most of the people right now are worried about the amount of people who are in the deeds office that are working, the amount of people who are in all the offices that we need in the municipality doing the raise clearance certificates and all these other things that we need for us to be able to serve our clients. So the bigger question right now is, what does this mean? And I think you already touched on that, but I also wanted to also let you touch on what does this mean in terms of what must we expect from the deeds office, and then how is it going to be affecting also the master's office, how is it going to be affecting our raise clearances, and then just lastly touch on the transfer duty also and how that's going to be affected, and the whole process of property buying in terms of timelines. And then you already mentioned some things like, you might have to redo the application for for raise clearances, especially for properties that we're about to get transferred. So that is also something you touched on, but I just wanted us to touch on the whole picture and, how we can be able to position ourselves and also to communicate this to some of our clients and some of the people that, are very, very worried about this.
Israel, let's start with the first step and start unpacking a property transaction. If we look at a property transaction, we already discussed the credit score and affordability. So I'm going to move on from that. So once you've checked that maybe online or through a bond originator that you or a bank that you have a certain purchase power, you've got your first subsidy. If you're a first-time buyer, you know that the bank will give you a bond for 800,000 rand. So now you know what is in your budget to go and buy. The problem is that you cannot go out and view properties at the moment because you cannot go and visit property. So estate agents can't operate. So that already is on lockdown. I had a few transactions coming past my door, and we've had a few instructions over the past few weeks where the deed of sale was not even being able to sign by the seller and the buyer. So now we know that in terms of the Alienation of Land Act, a contract of sale or a property transaction must always be in writing. But it's in writing, but it's not signed by the parties because they don't have a facility to print out the deed of sale, get 2 witnesses, and then scan it back and get it signed. So the banks have actually even come to the party and say they will accept a unsigned deed of sale as long as there's a certain protocol that they confirmed, that the seller confirmed by email that I have signed this document and the purchaser will do the same. So the banks have come to the party to say they will process home loan applications up to a certain point. And while we're talking now, I see that there's an email that came in. I haven't read the email. But again, the next thing is that once a bank has approved the property, so now we come back to the same. So we've had buyers signing offers to purchase where they could or where they didn't sign, but they bring in a clause to say, this transaction is subject to me being able to view the property.
Yes.
Remember, you don't want to buy an unseen place. We have virtual reality tours, we have beautiful pictures, but there's nothing, I would never recommend to somebody to actually go and buy a property without having walked through the property and the area and the environment and checked out the property. So now, number one, you can agree on a transaction with no signatures, but banks accepting that. But a lot of people are saying, I'm making this offer subject, but I could actually post-COVID go and view the property. So already there you're delaying the property transaction. Now we present it to the bank anyway and see if I am getting the bank will approve me. The bank grants me approval. The next thing the bank says is that I need to value this property. I do an evaluation of this property. So now the evaluators can't go out. So it also becomes a situation where we say we approve this home loan subject that it being signed later. And number 2, subject that we do the valuation later. So that is getting your finances as a buyer in place. Once that happens, now you instruct the transferring attorney and we receive a transfer instruction. This week I had one transaction where they said this transaction is on hold to enable the buyer to view the property. The buyers are sitting in Joburg, they're buying in Cape Town. There's no ways they can come down to travel to Cape Town. So what happened? Through taking videos of a flat, the tenant walked through a flat with a cell phone, took a lot of videos, did a WhatsApp face call, and they were able to the buyer could have a good indication of a property and say, okay, and then they concluded the deal on that basis. It's a cash offer. So also the buyer didn't want to lose the property and somebody else comes and says, I'll buy it unseen. So those are the transactions that are being done at the moment. Now it comes to the conveyancing firm. That's my firm. And the first thing we do, obviously we can do it online deeds office check to check if it's a correct property and the owner. The next thing is to write a letter to the bank to say, please issue instructions to cancel the bond. Those transactions can still go off. We find that many financial institutions have their staff working from home, but some of them we find that they struggle to log into the systems because their home, their connectivity at home is not as strong as being at work. So they can do emails, but they can't log into the actual system, which is a huge operation, which a lot of security protocols and all that stuff. So that's the one. Now you apply to the municipality for rates that we can do online. But again, the municipality says, I'm going to put it on hold until we have uplifted. But we haven't seen that the receiver of revenue process transfer duty. We've paid actually a few transactions, and I need to see if this will come out of a municipality, of the deeds office, because again, one must remember that the receiver of revenue hits you with a 10% penalty if you pay your transfer duty late. Now, luckily, that penalty only starts to run 6 months after you sign the offer to purchase. So just people must just bear in mind that transfer duty, which is now, the exemption is now gone up to 1 million rand, but don't pay your transfer duty late, because SARS can hit you with, and they don't have any leeway there that it was COVID or whatever and all that stuff. So the next step is, now you've done your rates application, you've done your transfer duty. Now you need to get physically your seller and your buyer to sign their documents. They need to sign, mostly they need to appear in front of a commissioner of oaths, and maybe the attorneys will also be able to overlook that for the moment, because you can't reach your client and they can't travel and all that stuff. So those are the problems that we deal with. Now you say, I've got to talk to the buyer needs to get a home loan, and the bank needs to instruct their attorneys to draw the legal documents. So that's the whole combination of all the parties collaborating to get a property transaction together. So the client needs to go into the attorney's office, or the attorney will come out to them and sign all the bond documents. Then they issue a guarantee. So I do find, and I expect, that property deals will take at least a month or two longer to get into the deeds office, from being on the right moment, on the doorstep to be lodged in the deeds office, to actually being registered in the deeds office. So we are going to experience a lot of delays. It's not that the deeds office will open tomorrow and 2 days later we have the registrations in place.
No, I fully understand. So meaning that the processing speed of a property transaction now is a little bit going to be slowed down, and people must be a little bit patient on that. That's
it's
what
going
you're
to be slowed down hugely. Not like this. It's not like a small bump in the road. It's not a small puncture that you pick up. It's a big flat tire, as we would call it into our other kind of speak, we can call it like that. Yeah.
No, I fully understand. And then one thing I also wanted to mention is that with regards to us on our side, we had a few deals that we did. Good part about it is that the buyers went to view before the COVID. And then some of the deals that we managed to process also we did during the COVID, but there was people on site who managed to take pictures, as you mentioned. So that also helped out with part of the virtual viewing. So one place we were stuck is with the banks, and then but then the banks right now, including standard banks and Absa, they're accepting videos and pictures for valuations, actually. So they took the videos and pictures, they managed to approve the bonds. And that was a good part about it. That means they were also adjusting a bit. But the bigger, and also we managed to get the guarantees from the bank. The only issue right now where we're getting stuck is when the deeds office coming in, and then being able to conclude the transaction, and then the raise clearances also. That's where we're seeing a little bit of a problem. But I would say that there's always going to be a buyer in any different sort of a market, and it's always a good time to invest, according to me. So I think you touched on most of the processes and how this is going to be affected. I just wanted to ask a few more questions, and then we can open up our Q&A so our panels can be able to ask any questions. So one more thing I wanted to ask is, if coronavirus wiped out your business, like a lot of people are scared about, what would you do in the next 30 days? Especially, you can also just look at including some of the tools that you guys have together that can be able to manage to help people to become homeowners and real estate investors. But I'm just also curious from your point of view to say, if the business was wiped out and you have the next 30 days to rebuild, what would you be?
Well, we already faced it where it wiped out businesses completely. And the problem lies, if you want to buy a property, you have to demonstrate income.
Yes,
So if
yes.
you have to start all over, so the first thing that I can recommend is to immediately go to everybody where you've got to pay. Now, you've got to make sure that your critical cover still remains. For example, your insurance. You don't want to cancel your insurance now and you pick up a injury or you pick up a illness and you can't generate income for a period of time. So make sure that the critical um, expenses are still being paid. Those ones where you can negotiate a payment holiday, go and do that, even if you don't have the need to do that. But prepare yourself for the next 3 months where you most likely will not get a lot of revenue coming in. But go and make sure that you particularly apply to those ones where you're up to date. And hopefully one is up to date before you go into May and June where you start slipping. So if you are in arrears, they will not entertain any of your requests to do payment because they say, you've demonstrated to me that you are not paying my accounts. Now you want to have a 3-month holiday? No, sorry, I don't trust you. So very critical, go and negotiate where you can for those extended payments. Make sure that you can afford that payment afterwards again, because no use to delay the pain. And when you are actually but try everything you can. So then also make sure that your credit score is not impaired for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. Because a credit score is such an easy thing to break. I always say it's like glass. If you drop a glass, it's broken. You can use any type of glue, but it's going to take you a long, long time, or porcelain to fix that, and you're always going to see the cracks. Those cracks stay on your credit report for up to 2 years. And they're going to ask us, and the banks are very funny businesses. They're going to say to you, but you didn't pay your account. You said it was Corona. Then they say, but you could have. There was relief programs. The fact that it's difficult to get to those relief programs. We actually started with a company, Optigen. We started a service and said that the average person in the street don't have all the tools and contacts to phone all their credit providers and say, please, I want a payment holiday and all that stuff. So we actually teamed up with them, and they will assist one to work out a budget and go to your creditors for this COVID period and restructure and do repayments and make sure that these things are in place. For example, I went to my landlord 10 days before the end of the month, and I asked them a payment holiday. They came back with very favorable terms. Now, what happened is that on the 2nd of May, no, on the 3rd of May, this Monday was the 3rd or the 4th of May, the debit order for the full rental went off my bank account. Now, all of a sudden, I only had enough money to pay the critical payments that go through that we've budgeted for on the 1st. But now when the rental went up over, it killed out my entire cash flow in my account. Then there was a possibility that I would reject my other payments that gives me a bad payment profile. So when I went back to the landlord and said, oh, no, sorry, it was an admin overlook. Now, you see, things like this can give you a bad credit score when other people, when your bank then rejects your other debit orders because there's not enough money, but you had enough money before the Monday started. And all that stuff. So that would be my, if you are wiped out, again, there are so many innovative ways to start all over. But make sure that, number one, you keep your credit score strong. And then there are so many opportunities. My wife is in the hospitality business with accommodation. My daughter she's got a business called Food Jams, where people come and do interactive cooking. They can't do that. But what she's done now in the past, in these many days, she used the kitchen to invite people that still want to come and cook. And they just cook for charity. And they go and deliver the food because they get sponsorship from. So keep the business going through other innovation. Make sure that you still have a business the moment that you can actually invite people back into your business, like a restaurant, like whatever, that you actually haven't closed the doors. I was shocked to see how many restaurants don't have the extra capacity to carry their staff for a month or two. And I think many companies have used COVID and will use COVID going forward to close their doors as an excuse. We look at all the publishing houses that closed. We see at ComAir, they were on the brink of disaster. but this COVID just pushed them over the edge, and they now are in trouble. Well, we've been in trouble, but they now can publicly say, sorry, we can't make it. And we're going to see a lot of this happening. So I think the main thing is to protect yourself, be one step ahead to actually go and negotiate repayment restructuring.
100%. So one thing I also had more than just credit record and then be also restructuring is finding a new way to serve your clients is also going to be finding innovative ways to be able to keep interacting and being relevant, because when, as you said, when the businesses are going to be opening again, then everything will be easier from there to start inviting people. And I mean, people in restaurants, the idea of serving charity at this point, that was a good idea, because a lot of people in restaurants are thinking, what must I do? What's the new industry right now that's going to be booming, and what can I get into? So, which is a very interesting topic to speak about. So 2 more questions before we open our Q&As. One more question is, what would the world be surprised to know about Meyer that they don't know about you?
Well, what I think hopefully everybody will learn and need to know is that we are passionate to help people to own their own home. And we have creative finance solutions plus structured solutions to help everybody reach their dream. We say, do not ever give up hope. Stay a tenant and make your landlord rich. Rather turn the foot around and get a tenant to actually pay off your home loan.
100%. And then the last question is, if Meyer de Waal had a superpower, what would it be?
Number one, obviously, is to make Corona disappear. That would be the first one. And then for me would be in a no COVID life, I would like every home buyer to go into an academy of home ownership pre-training before you buy a house. Because a house is your biggest investment you will ever make, either if you live in the house or you buy it as investment. And I want every homeowner to start, and I've shared those videos with you. You're welcome to distribute. You will first distribute the booklet. And the booklet is actually the book that contains the contents of those 4 videos. And what our aim is that every home buyer must become an expert in the negotiation of finances, finding the right property, knowing the legal stuff that goes about, knowing that there are subsidies like FLISP. For example, there's also Housing Investment Partnership, that's a HIP bank, and they upped their home loans from 650 to 950. And we can even introduce HIP to one of your sessions as well, because what we want to have is when you buy a house, we want you to be an expert. I find people do more research in buying a new cell phone or a new car. And I recently bought a new bicycle. I was in the internet for hours researching all different bicycles. But again, we do more research in buying an item like that than buying the biggest investment in your life. And that's my aim in South Africa, to get everybody an expert and educated before you go and buy a house.
100%. Now, thanks a lot, Meyer. So we're going to be opening up our Q&As. I think we already have 2 questions here. We have a question from anonymous attendee saying, flips of Flex application, what does it stand for? I would like to do more research about it. It sounds like a good thing. So that's question number 1 there.
So let's answer FLISP. It's actually an abbreviation for Finance Linked Individual Subsidy Program. A lot of words to me, but it means that there's a finance linked subsidy. So it means that you must have a home loan approved from one of the traditional banks. So it must be a mortgage that's going to be raised against your property. Individual, that's for the individual. So it can't be a company or a trust that buys, and a subsidy program. So, and it's in the price range if you earn 3,501 Rand up to 22,000 Rand. So you're welcome to go to our FLISP website. There's a lot of information on there, videos, interviews that we've done, and you'll be able to download. So if you type in FLISP and Meyer de Waal, most likely you'll get to a lot of information. But the huge benefit is that our FLISP can help you to renegotiate a better home loan interest rate.
100%, 100%. So the second question we have is coming from Standazi Limuve. She's saying, if we cannot get the clearance in time, what will the effect on be on the buyer? Yes. Completing the question.
So maybe Mrs. Ngube can just maybe explain a little bit more what is the clearance that she refers to, because there are so many clearance certificates that we need to get. It's maybe a rates clearance certificate, it's the transfer duty clearance. So obviously anything that we don't get will delay, but maybe you've got better insight in that question.
100%, but I think what she's referring more is maybe rate clearances, but I'll also be waiting for her to give us an answer. Oh yeah, she's saying the rates clearance, yeah, 100%.
So the rates will, we cannot lodge a transaction in the deeds office if you don't have your transfer duty clearance, if you don't have your rates clearance. Obviously the title deed as well, and obviously the power of attorney signed by the seller. So those are the critical documents that you need to have. If we don't have it, we cannot lodge in the deeds office. And we've got deeds in the deeds office now that are lying there on level 1 or level 2, not the COVID levels, but the deeds office got also their own levels of examination. Those transactions are there, and they are going to be rejected the moment the deeds office switch on the engine again, because the rates clearance certificates expired in the time that the deeds office were on lockdown as well.
100%, 100%. So I don't think we have any more questions. And I think this is where we're going to be wrapping it up. Meyer, thank you very much for joining us today. And everybody who's here, I'm looking for the home ownership guide and all the gifts that we're going to be giving away, including my book. So everything is going to be sent to you on email. And then if you need to learn how to buy a property using flips, using my Bond Fitness, using rent to buy, I'll also be having that on my online university that I'll send you guys a link to. All that stuff will be there, and then you guys can be able to learn all these tools. And I think what you're saying is very important. That's something we also teach for, but from a more of an investment point of view, to say, at least know your deal, know your numbers, know your area, and do your homework, and be able to, select the right property that you're investing in. Because, I mean, there's no way you're going to be paying something for 20 years if you do a silly mistake and, you pay more or you're paying less or things like that. And I think it's very, very good that everybody should be able to do their homework and be very well informed before they actually buy a property. So it's much better to actually invest in yourself, just not only about, the buying of the property alone. Also these sessions like this where what is the clearance, what is that, what is transfer duty, when does this affect that? It also gives you a bigger picture for those people who are analytical and they need more information before they make a good decision. So I think this is it. And then we're seeing somebody, Richard, saying thank you, good one. Oh, thanks, Richard. And thanks everybody for joining us today. And I will see you guys next week. We're going to be talking to Michelle Dickens from TPN, talking about level 4 final regulations and going into what the tenant and landlord practical solutions that are there for everybody. And I hope to see you guys there. Meyer de Waal, thanks a lot for joining us today, and have a great day further. And yeah, we'll keep in touch.
It's been a pleasure, and keep on doing your good work.
100%. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, everyone. Keep well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.